Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to our third quarter fiscal year company update. Although you're going to hear later, we're going to reflect on the second quarter results, some of the third quarter metrics, and actually technically we're in the fourth quarter of our fiscal year and it's the first quarter of the calendar year. So try to reconcile all of that, which is I'm trying to do still as I make my way into Wiley. So it is awesome to be here. It's definitely amazing to be back in Louisville. So hello to all my friends that I've been working with, many of you for 8 years now and running, although there are also a lot of new faces in the audience. I want to say hello to the global workforce of WES. We've got folks in Chichester, London now with M3, Orlando, Chicago, Mount Joy, Minnesota. The list goes on, and then tons of people that work remotely. So welcome everybody. It's great to be here. So I decided to not wear my typical uniform of a blazer. I knew Jay would outdo me anyway, which of course he's looking good over there, and he'll be up here later on. But I wanted to show my support and love for the advancement courses team. They gave me this sweatshirt. Maybe a couple years ago, and also to honor two folks that have left, two of the people that helped me really to build Learning House, Wendy Parrish and Krisha Lazarevich, and they've left, but their spirit will live on, and advancement courses represents the best of what we have here at Wiley. So let us get started. We have an amazing agenda for you today. I guess that was my introduction. I am going to spend about 20 minutes with you all talking about our strategy. And hopefully you read the document that I sent. That was your homework assignment, because I don't want you to kind of get hit cold with some of these concepts. I think it's really important that you really think about this stuff as much as I do, and the team that I work very closely with. So I'm going to work through that. Then I'm going to pass it over to two of our newest colleagues from M3, Chris Waschuk, and Jit Vicaria. They are members that really run our North America operation here with M3, and I'm delighted to have them here with us today to tell you all about what M3 is about, why they fit into our family, and hopefully you get to ask them some questions. Business update. So this is really the meat of the presentation. It's organized in, I think it's 5 different formats. We took a similar duet approach like we did last time, starting with the Jack and Jeff show on achieving our financial plan. Hopefully they have their jokes ready for you. And then we're going to talk about our colleagues, and Nicole Stefarak is here from Orlando with Laura Sparks from Chicago to talk about Wexpo and the Innovation Challenge and some other things we're doing. We have Blaine and Julie to talk about our students and the results and everything that's going down over there. We have Jordan, who's going to talk about innovation and what's happening on that front. And I'm definitely missing one element. Whatever, we'll see where it is. I don't have a cue here. So that'll be, Jay and Tara will be talking about our clients and our future clients. And then finally, I am going to sit down and have a quick chat with Terry, our head of HR. So psyched to have you in the room, Terry. And I should say that as things change, our team is growing. It's changing. So Terry joined our leadership team. Hopefully you all read my last or 2 org updates ago. Jordan Hathaway is running customer marketing now for us on our leadership team. And Kelly Lewis Prattle runs corporate marketing. I could not be more thrilled with the two of them and how much they've just leaned into everything. They represent the best of our values that we're going to talk about and our skills. And so our team is growing, changing, morphing, and it's all good. We're as committed as ever to achieving our mission. Okay, so let us get started. To me, it has to start with a problem. It has to start with an opportunity. It has to start with, why are we doing this? Are we in business for ourselves? That's a bit of the challenge that higher education has today. It's about themselves. I talk about this story sometimes when I was at a meeting with a faculty of a university, and somebody raised their hand and said, hey, look, we're really good at Germanic languages. Can we put them online? That was about themselves, and it was less about the customer and the market and what corporations need today. And so for us, I think it's important, before we talk about our mission and our values and our strategies, is to really understand the demand side of the equation and what is going on in the marketplace today. Well, what do we know? We know that education is still key. I have some stats in my pocket here. I'm going to try not to take them out, but something along the vicinity of 85% of hiring managers believe that an education, a higher education, is critical to their hiring needs. And of that 85%, most of them feel like the skills that are needed are not there today. So that's the second point, is that there is a key skills gap. CM3, which we'll hear about that later on. It's getting worse, right? So not only do the hiring managers and the employers feel like they're not getting the talent that they need, the talent that they have and the talent they need is not having the exact skills that they want. So these are problems. These are opportunities. And educators, our clients in many cases, don't feel like they can keep up with this. They just don't think they can evolve quickly enough to meet the skill gap needs and the education needs of the society and the employers of today. And finally, students are really, concerned, right? They're saying it's not worth it. I did a Google search last night. I was curious. When I graduated from business school in 2003, which is like scary to think how long ago that was, and I graduated with a lot of debt, like many of our students. I was curious, what was the student debt at the time, the overall student debt? Does anybody have an idea in 2003 how much student debt our country had? $1 million. Yeah? Any other guesses? It was $300 billion. How much do you think it is today? Now you could do the 1 trillion. It's $1.5 trillion, actually getting close to 1.6. So over 5 times as much. And I'm like, what has changed much between now and then? It's, I think, the same number of students going back to college. What's changed is that prices have gone up a lot, right? And so these are problems in the marketplace. These are opportunities for us. This is why we exist, right? You can people are probably already excited to get back to their desk and make all this happen. So what is it? So what is our mission here? Our mission is simple. Together with our partners, we empower learners to create positive change. Hopefully, I nailed that. Yes. That was like my 4 little thing. You guys should remember. You should all remember the mission statement. I try to recite this to myself every single day because this does become our North Star. Everything that we're going to talk about today, we talk about the market demands. Now we're talking about our mission statement. This is what fuels us. Everything needs to come under this, right? But now we're going to get practical because we've already talked about our mission statement in the last company meeting. And now we're going to talk about, we're just going to reminder of our values. So our values, good way to remember our values too, is ACOG, or ACOG. Authenticity, be yourself. Community, thrive together. Ownership, operate like an owner. And finally, grow. Grow is as simple as that, right? And so each of us should be thinking about these values as well. Am I embodying these values? Is my department embodying these values? Is the company embodying these values? And then take ownership where we are not, right? And so this is important as well. This is what fuels us. This is the underpinning of how we operate. Many of our institutions are faith-based in nature. They're values-driven in nature. We are as well, in I would say a secular way, we take this stuff very seriously, and then when we think about our initiatives and the businesses we go into, we want to make sure we're upholding our values. So now we have our mission, we have our values, and what comes next? What comes next is our strategies. We started this process a few months ago because for us, we want to align. We want to align everything that we do in the business back to that mission. Well, how do you do that? You can't just, you have to come up with strategies, right? These are the things that start to get specific around the tasks and the initiatives that we do can start to align under here. So it starts with the first one for us, which is support and empower a motivated team, right? Why is that? Well, we believe it's a strategy to have a highly motivated workforce will be a winning formula. It's as simple as that. And we know we have a lot of work to do here. It's never ending, but we have a lot of initiatives that we're working on to make that strategy happen. Second, build demand-driven learning products. So this is something that the legacy of WES and Learning House have been doing for a long time in bits and pieces, but we really, really wanted to make this very overt, in that, and again, I'm kind of making the segue to M3 so I don't have to steal their thunder later, but this strategy led us to that acquisition. It led us to the Software Guild, which led us to here to truly understand what do corporations need, what are their real main acute points, and how can we build products and services to meet those needs, right? And we've been doing that in the WES world as well, like social work. I mean, really the legacy WES was a huge pioneer in that area, seeing a lot of the demand in the workforce for social workers and then helping universities to build product to meet that demand. So this one is in the middle, right? It's at the apex of these 5 strategies. Create experience that drive meaningful outcomes. So one of my favorite things that I get to do is read the WOW email every single week and hear about whether it's a faculty member talking about how this course would have never happened in the way it came about and came alive if it wasn't for that instructional design help they got from us. Or somebody that would not have enrolled in school or certainly wouldn't have graduated without the support they get from our enrollment and student support teams. So for us, this always has to come back to outcomes, right? This has to come back to return on investment for the student, for the schools, for the employers. We have to constantly be thinking about outcomes in everything that we do, not just putting product out there for the sake of ourselves and hoping things work out. Grow and support our diverse network of schools and employers. So for us, this is a virtuous cycle of we sort of need more employers, more universities, more employers, universities to make all of this work, to become profitable so we can invest more, to allow a network of employers to be attractive to universities. Our network of universities will be attractive to employers, and it'll become a nice, self-fulfilling prophecy. We're doing well here, but we need to do a lot more. And then finally, innovate to stay relevant and lead the market. So the thing that I love about where we are today is that things can be so much better. I know they can be, right? When we think about the cost of education, we just talked about student debt, it's way too high. When we think about personalized learning, which we know works, and there's not enough of it in our society, we have to make more of this happen. When we talk about a great customer experience that often does not exist in higher education, we need to make that happen, right? So innovation, and Jordan's going to talk to you about some of the initiatives later, we have to force ourselves to keep thinking about change and thinking about these problem statements and how we can innovate. Because if we stick with what we were doing in the past, that's the definition of insanity, as we know. Okay, so those are our business strategies, right? So this is great. We could have these on a wall just like values, but now we're actually going through a process to bring these things to life. And we're actually aligning this whole process with what our sister companies are doing across of Wiley. They are also creating similar sets of strategies and then trying to work on the initiatives, the tasks, the goals to make sure everything that they're doing every day aligns to this, and then they can ultimately measure where they're weak, where they're strong, and then we can hold each other accountable to that. So that's this grid right here. So I'm not going to touch on all these different initiatives, but you can see on the left side of the grid, we have our 5 our 5 strategies. And then here's an example of initiatives that are in progress, whether it's the monthly org updates that we've just done, or Wexpo that just happened, or the WOW email, other initiatives planned. We're going to do some D&I or diversity inclusion training soon that Laura is driving. And the list goes kind of on and on. Build demand-driven products. So this is, Jeremy Walsh, who I hired over 5 years ago. His vision is finally coming to life with the EBP platform. It's a huge investment for us. It's a long-term investment, but that's going to help us make demand-driven product strategy come to life, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go through all of these, only to say that I'm going to put somebody on the spot here. Katie Savignon, are you in the room? Hey, Katie. So Katie has been working with leaders across WES to really systematize, and this has been going on for maybe the last 3 to 6 months, all of our initiatives. So Katie, how many initiatives are we now tracking in our planner? Sorry for putting you on the spot, but well over 100. Good. I'm glad she nailed that one. Exactly. So we have well over 100. She is working bi-weekly with the leaders responsible for that to make sure that we're tracking all of those different initiatives. We can report up to Brian and the rest of the team at Wiley, and also report to you all in the monthly org updates. We are just oftentimes giving just a summary of those initiatives because there's a lot of details. Within each of your departments, you should have a good sense of what are the key initiatives to achieve those strategies and to drive our business forward. Great. So, well, the punchline's here a little bit. I messed up the fade here. But so what is a BHAG? Okay, a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Jim Collins, who is the author of Good to Great, Build to Last, he invented this term. Maybe he didn't invent it, but he certainly made it popular. And it's this idea of kind of putting you into that uncomfortable state, something that's a little bit more than a mission statement. It's something tangible. It's something practical to say, you know, give us a big, hairy, audacious goal to put out there. One simple thing. And, you know, for us, it was really easy to come up with, right? We know we serve learners, right? So that learners part was easy. And so we did some math and we realized we support about 50,000 students today, right? Which is a great number, great number. We want to support 2x that, 100,000 students. If you think about that, we would be, and the way we support our students, our type of students, the meaningful outcomes that we're driving, this would be the equivalent of probably a top 3 to 5 university in the country. That's what this team here and virtually and wherever you are will be supporting in 5 years from now. I think it's very achievable and maybe not aggressive enough. So what is all of this is to ultimately, you know, we have to achieve our financial plan, right? I'm trying to warm up for Jack and Jeff later here. And, you know, again, we don't like to talk too much metaphorically, theoretically, right? We have to bring things down to data and results and accountability. And we've been working really hard on simplifying our KPIs. I actually just had a great discussion with Alex, the CEO of M3, about this yesterday. He has 5 KPIs that he tracks religiously for M3. Right now, today, we're primarily talking about kind of our core business, but even our other businesses like AC and Guild and M3 will flow into these types of metrics. And so we have our 3 categories of those metrics: company drivers, things like colleague engagement, customer satisfaction, which we need to do a lot better job of that, both internally customer satisfaction and externally to really understand that number. And I will tell you, and I might be misquoting this, but I have, hopefully it's not quite been published, but we just did a survey, I think it was on 18 or 20 of our university partners, and we had them give a net promoter score for really their program that they're in, not us directly, but indirectly. And the net promoter score was wonderful. It was like 48, which is very good. I mean, it's bordering on world class. So those are the types of things we really need to measure that customer satisfaction number better. Growth drivers, you should be now getting very comfortable with this, right? You know, the number of schools that we have, the net new schools, we have the number of programs, the starts, you know, new student starts, enrollments, retention, student lifetime value, right? This is a really important core metric. It's not that complicated. And if you don't understand what these things are, please raise your hand and ask. Right now, go on to the Teams channel and type it in on the company forum. Although I appreciate you guys aren't on your phones right now. Thank you for that. And then profit drivers, right? You know, so it's not just enough to drive revenue and to drive growth. You know, we have to be a profitable business. I talked to you about it last time. I'll talk to you about it today, and I'll talk to you about it next time, is that this business has historically not been profitable or not been that profitable, marginally profitable. We are on a march towards 15% EBITDA margins. And that's happening. This team is doing a great job in that front, but this is essential for us to satisfy many of our stakeholders, including our investors. So, how am I doing on time, by the way? Sorry, I just need to. Okay, excellent. So how do we prioritize these 114 or whatever the number is initiatives that we have? We have a few different ways to do this. Now we're really getting practical on how we bring these things to life. We decided a quarter or two ago, by studying this management framework called Traction, to implement something called quarterly rocks. Thank you, Jeremy Walsh, wherever you are. I think you're back in Miami, who really sort of spawned this idea with me. And quarterly rocks is simple. It's quarterly goals. Typically, it's 3 to 7 goals, and how we've worked it out right now. So now I'm going to put Jeff Stark on the spot. How many quarterly rocks, Jeff, do we have for the fourth quarter as a company?
50?
I'll give you a hint. Katie's number was close to it. It's 105 this quarter. It was 95 last quarter. And so what process did we go through? Well, again, Jeff and Katie and myself, we've been working very closely with the leadership team, who's been working very closely with their teams to really understand, okay, we have all these initiatives. We know what we want to do to drive this business forward. Now let's make them very practical. We want to do this big EBP thing. We want to have dozens of great corporate clients. What can we do right now in this quarter to be held ourselves accountable to achieve that goal? And in this quarter, it's sign 1 EBP client, right? So that brings it very practical. And we have been publishing every month a summary of the top 10, I think, of those. But your departments have their own quarterly rocks. All of this, the initiatives, the rocks, they're all tracked in Microsoft Planner. They're very dynamic. And they allow ourselves to hold accountable. Validation. So what is validation? Validation is now this process of the initiatives that we're doing, the goals that we're doing are going to all be tracked very meticulously back to those strategies. So we can really understand, we can look at a strategy and say, what are we doing to empower colleagues and motivate colleagues right now? We're not doing enough. Okay, let's add more initiatives. Let's add more things. So it becomes a very tactical way of running the business. Consistent meeting pulse. Every week, my leadership team is meeting. We do a quick flash on those quarterly rocks. We see what's doing well, what's not. And we also have quarterly meetings to really make sure we're tracking and everything's on the tracks. Okay, so hopefully you've seen these. I'm going to actually just kind of put them all up right now. I mentioned the first one. So for example, in the third quarter, we did not achieve this goal. So it's going to show up on the fourth quarter rocks, the Sign First Employee Benefits platform. The second one, Secure 6 Partner Plus addendums. We did achieve this one. So kudos to the client management team and Jeremy and his team for making that happen. We signed 6 Partner Plus addendums with Legacy West schools, and so on and so forth. You know, for example, we signed 3 OPM partnerships. Jay is going to tell you, we signed 3. It's more like 2.5. You know, so I'm giving you a little bit, what is that all about? Jay will explain that later on. Secure funding for next phase of Project Legend and Journey, which we did. And rebrand launch ready, we're working on that. 5.9, so you're gonna see collegiate migration. So like, for example, that just popped up, exit collegiate relationship. Yes, we're definitely gonna do that. Thank you to everybody that's been involved in it. It takes a village on that one. But like, you can see how this huge initiative of Project Legend, which is about, you know, starting to become really relevant organically for our owned and operated sites in Google when somebody searches, which is pretty much every consumer. We want to have our sites show up there. That's a huge initiative over years, right? You saw what we wanted to do in the third quarter, get funding. In the fourth quarter, we actually want to acquire a site. That's how this gets very practical. Collegius, we were kind of getting, you know, ready to finish that relationship. Now we're going to finish it, and so on and so forth. So these are just, and Jay, of course, has another 3 OPM partnerships. I should make it 3.5, actually. And then there we go. So that's really my main remarks here. I mean, I think what is important is, and I'm extremely fired up that we now have really a system of taking market forces and problems and opportunities out there and have translated that fully into what we're doing every single day, and a process to just keep iterating on that to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable to our mission, our values, our strategies, and the initiatives that we're doing, that we're trying to accomplish every day. So with that, I want to thank everybody for all the incredible work that you guys have done. I know we just kind of came out of our second biggest term in January, which was in many cases success. In some others, we didn't quite hit some of we're still having those enrollment headwinds, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. But there's certainly all these initiatives here is to kind of reverse some of those trends. We also have a lot of change going on, which is the norm, right? It's almost that should show up in one of our statements. But you guys are doing an incredible job managing through that change, and I think you're going to see that in some of the results that Jack and Jeff are going to talk about shortly. So with that, I'm going to now hand it over to Chris and Jit. I can't tell you how excited I am about this acquisition. Rachel and I quasi-started the Software Guild, call it 5 or 6 years ago, when we acquired the curriculum from the Software Guild company. And we've been in this evolution of this model for so long. What we've ultimately have understood in thinking about demand-driven education is that we know there's a tremendous need for more software developers out there. Now the question is, how do we take that market force and translate it to an excellent business? And the Software Guild has done a lot of incredible things to execute upon that, but it has not found a way to scale, has not found a business model that is extremely profitable, which is what we need to keep growing. But through the experience and the trial and error, we have found this kind of end-to-end recruiting model that you're going to hear about in a second that we tapped into with a partner called Genesis 10, that we realized this is where we want to be, right? And then so we, over the last year or two, have been trying to figure out how to get into it. And then, the clouds sort of parted and M3 came in, and now we're off to the races with M3. So with that, Chris and Jit, hopefully welcome you on stage, and welcome to the Wiley family.
Thank you. The clouds parted and I walked in. Oops.
Actually, I'm going to grab.
All right, I'm going to stand still because I have a fear of falling off the stage. I'm not going to walk around like Todd. Good morning, everyone. Todd, thank you for the introduction and thank you for the invite. It's really an honor to be here talking in front of so many people. I know I speak on behalf of Alex, Ben, and the M3 team when I say, thank you for the warm welcome. It truly has been an easier transition than maybe we expected. And they look forward to working with all of you over the coming months and weeks. So today I'm going to introduce you to M3, spend a few minutes talking about what we do, how we do it, and as Todd touched on earlier, why we do it. Let's go to the next one. There we go. So as this slide says, M3 is an emerging talent partner to global blue chip enterprises, focusing on their technology and business operations functions. What does that mean? We work closely with many of our clients, and that includes some of the biggest investment banks in the world, to understand their technical and behavioral requirements. And we use that then to develop sourcing and training roadmaps that are tightly aligned to whatever technology stack or strategy they have. Once sourced and trained, our consultants are on site with clients for 24 months before the client converts them into full-time employees. During the 24-month period, we're in constant interaction with the client and the candidate to instill a culture, passion, and pattern for continuous improvement. On the next slide, you see a bit more about the different talent solutions we offer, and they vary in degrees of experience and seniority. Alumni is at the core of what we do, where we bridge the gap between campus to corporate, take graduates, put them through the training programs we've developed in line with what the clients need, and then place them on site with their company for the 24-month program. There are times when a client wants a blended team, and by a blended team, I mean a mix of seniority and experience, and that's where some of the other Alumni Pro and experts come in. Two channels that are very exciting and evolving and increasing in interest with clients. One is the Vets channel, where we work with military veterans, train them in skills that are in need and in demand, and then place them with some of our clients around the world. And one where we're seeing an increasing amount of interest is reskill, where we work with clients and their employees and reskill them in skills that are in particular demand for that client. On this slide, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the how we do things. And I'd like to emphasize that how we operate at M3 is very different to our competitors. Polar opposite, in fact. Our values and principles have been the cornerstone of this. For example, we don't tie any of our consultants to lock-ins or training bonds. Instead, we focus on the continuous development, challenging training, readiness for corporate life, and rewarding them positively for high performance. This ensures we attract the best graduates, they stay through the 24-month program, and ultimately, they convert with the client because they want to. This is not simply about investing time and money into this kind of approach. We do it with genuine authenticity because we are very passionate about launching as many careers as we can and doing so in a way that is right. This slide has a lot of interesting metrics and really touches on the why we do this. And as Todd mentioned, there is an increasing gap in technical skills being filled in the wider enterprise world, right? The forces around technology change and needs are only increasing. But also driving this need is the requirement for diverse talent. There is plenty of research out there reinforces how high-performing teams are made up of high diverse talent across all dimensions. By using M3, our client not only gets the best emerging talent, but they also achieve their goals for diversity, whether that be gender, race, or social background. The bar chart on the left shows you how we compare on gender diversity versus the technology industry average, and the difference is significant. We have a university partnership team that tirelessly builds strategic relationships around the world, and this is shown on the right-hand side, where our alumni graduates have been sourced from over 350 different universities. What we're also immensely proud of is the high ratio of alumni that converts with the client at the end of the program. For us, this is really the acid test and reinforces that we have done a good job for the client and the candidate. 92% of alumni complete the 2-year program, compared to an average tenure of about 9 to 14 months on internal grad programs. 85% of our alumni become FTEs or alumni pro. And basically that means that 85% of the candidates that make it onto our program are guaranteed a job at the end of it. These are KPIs that we are very proud of and immensely protective over. I'm now going to hand over to Chris, who will talk a little bit more about the process and introduce a short video.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Waschuk, Head of Sales for North America at M3, and I just want to spend a bit more time talking about our signature offering, the Alumni Program. So understanding this, you'll understand how we build these pipelines of custom-trained next-generation IT talent for our client, and also how we're bridging the technology skills gap that we've also heard so much about. So the first thing we do when we get a new client is we want to understand all aspects of them. So we want to work with technology managers to understand what technology skill sets they're working on in their current and then future projects. We want to understand the soft skills they look for when they're sourcing next generation IT leaders, so we can build and source this talent around that specifically. We then also want to talk to their talent acquisition and HR heads to understand their total workforce strategy. So do they want to do things like reduce their reliance on contractors and up their full-time employees? Do they want to reduce their reliance on third-party integrators or staffing companies? What specific diversity initiatives do they have upcoming? So we can then build these pipelines and deploy them specifically around these goals so they can constantly hit their marks. Once we understand this, we have the sourcing strategy. So we have a talent acquisition team and university partnership team in every region that's going across and finding top college graduates with above a 3.0 GPA. We then take all of these associates and put them through our own internal proprietary screening process where we're able to select top talent that we know will be successful in our training program and then on the client site. So we take these individuals, we hire them, and then we relocate them to one of our training facilities across the region. Now here they're put through the 6-week intensive IT training program that can be completely customized to the exact requirements we talked about in the define stage. It's very important to note here that we're not just teaching them the theories of the newest technologies the client needs, we're simulating an enterprise environment. So we want them to not only learn the technologies, but how do you apply them on a real-world IT enterprise project in an enterprise environment. This helps them be able to hit the ground running day one on the client site and jumpstart their career. So the alumni, once they finish this training program, are relocated to any client site needed across the region and put on a 24-month contract to hire that Jip mentioned. Now, it's very important to note here that we're not just saying, hey, we invested 6 weeks of training in you, good luck out there in the real world. We have the pastoral care team that's designed specifically to continuously develop these alumni throughout the 24 months. So they're helping with things like training them and paying for continuous certifications, setting them up with networking events in the area, taking them to happy hour, all the things that make them feel comfortable kind of in their new career. So this is kind of the continuous investment we want to make, so when they become full-time employees at the company, they're jump-started and on a track to become future IT leaders for the company. So I think we're running out of time here. There's 15 seconds left. If anybody has any further questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to connect. I'm just going to leave you all with a short video here. I think it's 2 minutes that showcases the experience of a few of our alumni who went through the program and now are on the client site. Perfect time.
My name is China Hernandez. I am 21 years old.
I'm Khalid Shinze. I'm 22.
My name is Valeria Petray. I am 22 years old.
I am from Bronx, New York.
I am here in Montreal.
I'm outside M3's offices in London.
I got accepted to M3's program.
The position is Junior Production Support Analyst.
I am going to be starting a job at M3 Consulting, where I'm going to be learning to be a software developer.
M3 provide a tailored training program for all of our graduates.
M3 offers a very rigorous program. We shoot for quality people.
We're trying to give them the skills that are expected in a large team environment.
We know about financial services, we know about technology, and we're passionate about both.
You're trained to know what to do.
Everyone joining has worked so hard to get their degrees and work their way through the education system.
Paid training and get placed on site at a reputable bank.
M3 gave me the opportunity to work at an investment banking firm that's considered one of the top banking firms in the country.
After the trainee is accepted into the program, they'll come and do training with us.
We come in every morning around 8, 9 in the morning, and we just sit down and we learn.
I used to only apply my skills in mathematics, but through the program, I took them into technology and to finance.
If you like a fast-paced environment, if you like solving problems on the fly with a team, then this is the place to be.
We're looking for individuals that will go above and beyond to take on more responsibilities and really be able to drive their career forward.
It makes a difference, and M3 is looking for that difference.
My advice to somebody who wants to enroll to the alumni program in M3 is just stay hungry and learn as much as you can.
My name is Utsana Roy, and I am an M3 Alumni Associate.
IT Production Support at Deutsche Bank.
I'm working as a Production Support Analyst.
I'm a KDB developer at Standard Chartered.
I am working in Morgan Stanley here as a QA Environment Manager.
Currently, I work at Deutsche Bank as an analyst.
Right now, I'm working at Morgan Stanley as a developer.
I'm an associate at NatWest Markets Technology, and I just finished the Alumni Associate Program.
The main thing I would say is that it gives you the opportunity to work with extremely smart people.
We have an astrophysics student here, and I love talking with her. She's like, wow.
You're on a learning curve. You're on a journey.
You really is the one who determines how far you can go in this industry.
Good morning, guys. I'm on my way to Morgan Stanley.
Today is my first day. I'm a software developer.
It's going to be my first day as a production support analyst.
I'm really excited. It's been a lot of hard work getting here, and I can't wait to meet some of my colleagues in my new team.
The obligatory, is this on? I guess after Todd's introduction, general things going on this week, my team's performance on the hardwood last night against yours, Valentine's Day on Friday, we're set up for disappointment, aren't we?
You and I for Valentine's Day? Or? Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't rehearse this, if you can't. Yeah. So as Todd mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about about the financial results, KPIs, leading indicators, et cetera, for the business. As I like to say, we'll hit the tips of the waves, and then we'll move on to more exciting things. So I think that's why they started with us, Jeff. So we'll talk, again, as Todd mentioned, we're talking about Q2 year-to-date results, which are slightly outdated at this point since we just closed the third quarter in January, but we can't yet talk about them until we've disclosed financials externally. So I'll talk a little bit about our progress. I'll talk about the full year forecast, and Jeff will talk about KPIs. So through the second quarter, we actually have really great results to talk about. 10% year-over-year organic revenue growth for our business, which in this market is great and something to be applauded. So we're making really good progress on revenue. Thank you. Thank all of you. I'm just reporting the numbers. You all are driving the numbers, so thank you. From a profitability perspective, we continue to drive towards profitable growth. So long-term aspirations of 15% EBITDA margins, we're making really good progress towards that. Year over year, we are growing our profit quite substantially, which is great. A lot of that is due to the flow-through of this organic revenue growth and efficiencies generated out of the integration of Learning House and WES. So good work there as well. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's not take our feet off the gas, but so far so good. As Todd mentioned, we've also had a few investments funded this year. Jordan's going to talk about some of those, so really exciting investments that we think will help us kink our growth curve into the future. We talk a little bit about the full year forecast. You'll see a yellow light here. So we're cautious going into the full year. We know we have softness in our core OPM revenue share new student starts, which is a mouthful. Jeff's going to talk about those KPIs when we get there, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to be near our revenue plan and hit or slightly exceed our profit plan for the year. So that's, again, don't take your feet off the gas. We've got a lot to do in the last quarter, but we're showing really positive signals. We really are thinking about next year's financial plan now and how the new student starts will impact us in 21 and beyond, and that's where we're going to start to see this softness creep in. So anything we can do to drive new student starts is a good thing. So I encourage you all to reach out to us, and if you want to learn more about the financials, I'm happy to talk, and I'll pass it off to Jeff so he can tell you about KPIs. You need this?
Guess so. Guess it's coming in.
It's just the play button.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to jump through this because I think you've seen this all before. Oh, sorry. Yeah, need a mic. Sorry. So used to hearing the voice in my head. This is basically Todd's list, but we've added some colors just to indicate sort of where we're at in terms of performance, and we'll get to some of the numbers on the next page. But as you can see, our net number of new partners, which Jay is working on, slightly behind where we want to be, but we're working on it. The net number of new programs lagging a bit at this point. The red comes with the starts. As Jack mentioned, our starts are down significantly from where we thought we would hope it would be. And as Jack mentioned, we're assessing what that will mean for us in the future. We're on the bright side. Our enrollments have been pretty good, thanks to Julie's team and the work of others. We've been getting students to stick around and actually enroll in classes. A couple things. Take a bow. A couple other things we're working on: year-on-year retention and student lifetime value. They're great because we're still working on getting the complete numbers for that. Our cost per start it's a little higher than we anticipated, but not greatly. And then we're still working on the SOV to CPS ratio. So moving on, lots of numbers. Aaron Yerkowitz and I took a case of beers and a dartboard and came up with some. And you can see there, you can see where we've color-coded some of the numbers we talked about earlier. But you can see where our enrollments have been close. They've actually been pretty good. In January, I think we were really close, even though as you see, our starts are off significantly. So those are our numbers. Feel free to ask anybody on my team what they mean. We're happy to explain it. And on to the next.
Good morning. Park Ranger Stefrak at your service. Just kidding. I'm Nicole Stefrak, Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives, and I'm based out of Orlando.
And I'm Park Ranger Laura Sparks, the Senior Manager of Internal Communication and Culture, and I'm based out of our Chicago office. Nicole and I do have the pleasure of speaking to you all today about a few of the exciting elements that fit into our strategy to support and empower our team.
So we have notes. Not all of us could be as smooth as Blaine and Julie. And so we're cheating, so bear with us here. So first up is WEXPO. So WEXPO is actually an idea that came from Janet De La Rosa, who's in our Orlando office, a couple years ago. So I think she'd be really proud of how far it's come.
I definitely know I'm really proud of how far WEXPO has come. Can we give a round of applause for WEXPO?
All right, so what a day WEXPO was. I'm going to give you guys some stats. So 45 presenters across 4 locations and remote.
There were more than 200 individual sessions.
Over 800 in-person and remote attendees.
58 trails and campfires.
More than 60 volunteers. Plus, who knew Jay Hatcher had an Outback hat?
Now, WEXPO would not have been possible if it weren't for a group of stellar colleagues working behind the scenes to make the event happen.
Yeah, that's right, and this is where I definitely need to refer to my notes because I don't want to miss anybody. So we do want to call out Lauren Riviere. She dreamed up and executed on this year's concept of the national parks for here in the US and in the UK, extraordinary places of beauty is what they call. I would also like to thank Tina Peters and Chris Snyder, Chicago, for planning all the streaming sessions, and everything went really smooth. Let's see, thanks to all of our presenters, park rangers, scouts, facilitators, photo booth creators, photographers, and our administrative support. We want to give a special thank you to Tiffany Chapman in Louisville and Jess Randall and Kelly Mills in Chichester for running point in their office. It was a huge job, and they nailed it.
And lastly, we'd like to thank you, our explorers, for your engagement during your WEXPO adventure. We transition, hat off, WEXPO Ranger no more. Now, while we are on the topic of engagement, we have been working for the past set of months to develop an internal communication and engagement strategy. This strategy is based directly on colleague feedback, and we have a lot of exciting things in motion that we will be rolling out within the coming weeks. Some of the work is happening behind the scenes to help us provide structure to the way that we communicate and engage with our team. Some of the work will be visible to y'all very soon, so we're excited to share 2 of those things with you today. The first thing that Todd mentioned earlier is diversity and inclusion training. As a business unit, we are investing in the tools needed to support our team toward becoming a more inclusive, unified culture. WES has partnered with a company called EverFi to provide access to training modules for all of our US-based colleagues in the topics of diversity and inclusion, harassment and discrimination, and managing bias. These courses will provide our colleagues with important skills and resources needed in order to help foster a safe, inclusive, and healthy work environment for everyone. You will see information regarding these modules in your inbox within the coming week, and we do hope that you'll find these modules beneficial in helping make WES a unified workplace. The second initiative that we're working on is called Site Leadership. This is a task force being led by Julie Delich and myself, and it will involve us pulling together groups of leaders representing all of our locations, including remote, to help foster stronger relationships between leaders and colleagues at each of our sites, and to ensure that we are building our strategies around our core values. Our site leaders will be dedicated to listening, supporting and coordinating the culture at each of our location through a strengths-oriented lens. I'm personally really excited to begin this work to better connect our locations together. In addition to those two things, which I'm super excited about and hope you are too, we also have Innovation Challenge 2020 coming up. And for that, I'm gonna toss the mic back over to my pal, Nicole.
Thank you. And I'm hoping I don't have hat hair, so I'm gonna cross my fingers
Same.
there. So we're here today to officially kick off Innovation Challenge. So the Innovation Challenge for 2020 is gonna be focused on fast and fun. So the Innovation Challenge, it's not just a contest, it's not just an event. The Innovation Challenge is a movement where colleagues can learn a new way of thinking, ideate, and put forth ideas that help move our business forward. So we're gonna keep it really high level today, but just know like there's communication coming out later today that will have a link to, we have a SharePoint site with all the information. So this will be very high level. So I first wanna introduce you to our Innovation Challenge MC, Vignesh Ramakrishnan. He also has such a big personality. He could be one of those people that just goes by like one name, like Vignesh. He is, his day job is technical architect for the SRP team. He moonlights as our MC. And you're literally gonna see his face everywhere, like literally. Like it's on the posters, it's gonna be on the website. And it's really ironic because he looks so dapper and thoughtful there. And he is dapper and thoughtful, but he's also a lot of fun and can be silly and be riding around on a tricycle with like a clown nose. And those pictures actually exist. So we're going to like sprinkle Vignesh like throughout the whole challenge. So where do you start? Everyone, I know some of you are out there like, yes, I have so many ideas and I don't know how to get them out. And there's others that like, I don't have any ideas, and that's okay too. So the Innovation Challenge really is for everyone. We truly believe that every individual and team can come up with an idea, and we're gonna help you. One more. Yep, so we're gonna provide some strategies by hosting ideation workshops based on design thinking principles and user-centric design principles to help show you how to think differently. That sounds like super fancy. It's not, it's just fun. These workshops are optional. They'll be 90 minutes. They'll be in Orlando, Chicago, Louisville, and we also will be doing remote ones as well. So you don't have to attend a workshop to submit an idea, nor do you have to submit an idea to attend a workshop. So it's really just, we want it to be open to everybody. So how do I submit an idea? So this, like, it couldn't be easier. There's a form. It takes less than 10 minutes. Well, I guess the one thing I want to get across is the date. Our submissions close March 13th. But technically, it's live today. If you guys want to go put an idea in, please do. And you can put in as many ideas as you would like. So a number of these ideas are going to be selected to move forward to the next phase. It's going to involve another design workshop that's going to help evolve the idea and help prep for pitch day a la Shark Tank. All in all, if you make it all the way to pitch day, you can expect to spend about 10 to 12 hours throughout the Innovation Challenge. So there are 3 prizes at the end. There's a grand prize, People's Choice, and Most Ambitious. So each team, whether it's a team of 1, which is allowed, or a team of 4, will be able to select a charity. Wiley will be donating $1,500 to that charity. So each of the 3 teams, within the Wiley policy of charities. And we do have a short video. We had a dance to this last night, but we're not going to embarrass ourselves.
I might.
So we look forward to seeing all of you at the workshops, seeing all of your ideas come in. Look out for a communication later today with that link to the SharePoint site, and we're also going to have a Teams channel. I do want to give a plug. The Professional Development Task Force is putting on like a Q&A session about the Innovation Challenge on Tuesday the 18th. Invites to follow. And lastly, get in on it.
Well, yikes, that's a tough act to follow. We don't have a choreographed routine or a video.
We should just apologize out of the gate, Julie, because we don't have a tricycle. There's no clown nose.
Nope.
Do you have a hat?
I don't.
All right, well, thank everybody for your time.
Yep, yep. See you later.
Wrap it up. No notes. Do you have notes?
No.
Whew. All right, look, this
Here we
is a
go.
rocky ride. The good news is it's only 9 minutes and 36 seconds.
There we go.
So bear with us. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. Whew. Okay. I trust Orlando's excited. Hello to all our remote folks. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about just kind of what's going on within enrollment retention. So I got a couple of slides built. This may look familiar to some of you. We've been busy for the last set of months, right? So this chart, we put it up there when we were up here last time, and there's a lot of stuff on there, right? And it's crowded, and that's a good thing, right? So we are accomplishing a lot because we're a high growth business. We are actively looking to be leaders in the industry, and we came with kind of a promise. Last time we got together, there weren't green dots up there, right? It was speculative. This is the stuff that we were going to do. This is the stuff that we're going to work towards to make a difference within this room, but also to be able to better serve our students. I'm happy to stand up here today, and you can see that there's a lot of green dots up there, both within enrollment and retention. A lot of good work has been done. We don't have time to go through every one of them, so we came up with the nifty system of graying out the ones that we aren't going to go over. See how that worked out? You will get a copy of the deck, though, so you can go through and kind of go through each one and kind of look at how it impacts the business. I did want to call out a couple of things, right? Because when we talk about it, we talk about the fact that when the business came together, we really wanted to kind of take what was best practice within the Learning House team, what was best practice within the WES team, and come together to create one organization that was kind of a blend of those things. So we highlighted a couple of items that really represented that, right? The transcript services was something that Learning House had done for an extended period of time at a very high level. We didn't do that within the WES business, and we've now integrated that in, and we now do transcript ordering across the entire organization. So that's a huge step forward. We're innovating that a step further, that we've got a relationship with National Student Clearinghouse where now we're able to electronically procure transcripts. So what that means to those of you that aren't in enrollment, typically that is a weeks-long chase where we're begging students to go out and please order your transcripts, please mail them to us. What we're able to do now is electronically get it from a data warehouse directly into the CRM within 24 hours. So a very innovative step that's making life easier and better for our students. Contact Center and Omni is now deployed across the whole organization. So that was something that we ran at in a big way at WES. We brought it now together within the two businesses, and we're deployed everywhere. Initiative that Julie's been running at hard is our centralizing our retention teams. So now we've got those groups together in one house, and we're working through the details of that. But we're now one team, one dream, right, running at the retention piece.
Yeah, still a lot of work to do on that front, but promoted some incredibly talented people across our business to support this new centralized structure. So really excited about where our future lies with that group.
Yeah, awesome. We're all in one CRM, so everybody's in SRP right now, so I can't clap. I got a microphone, I got a clipper. But a big step between being one organization is being in one place and having all the data and being able to serve our students in one place. So that integration is complete, and one that we are actually in the middle of right now in Louisville is the 5.9 integration. So we've got a new telephony system that's going to allow us to be a lot more efficient and serve our students a lot better once we get up and running. So appreciate everybody who has been helpful in getting that rolled out. So okay, great. That's what we've done. What are we going to do, right? So let's talk about what's coming up next. Now that we've got Omni together and contact center, everybody deployed on that, we're now going to bring those two teams together. Ernie Gershenlauer has done nice work standing up the Omni team as kind of a skunkworks operation. We've got it up and running, and now we're folding it in with the contact center. So now that group will focus as a unified first touch point for students, regardless of what modality they want to engage in. So if they're phone-based, great. If they don't want to engage with us via the phone initially, that's fine, and that's a first step towards the broader student journey project that everybody's heard a lot of, and Jordan's going to speak to in a couple minutes. Combined reporting in SRP, right? So it's great that we're all in the system now. How about we all start looking at the same KPIs and start speaking the same language? So a huge benefit that we'll be able to understand the business in a unified way. And lastly, we're modifying our student engagement model. So 9 years ago, we put together a proprietary engagement model of how we work with students. It's time to brush it up a little bit and clean it up and get it ready for the next phase. So you're going to hear student journey, student journey, student journey. Student journey isn't one step, right? It's a package of ideas. It's a shift towards where the student is, where a consumer is in today's market. So this is a step towards that direction. That is, if somebody comes in digitally, our appointment that we run at today may not be the same as what it needs to look like in the future. So how do we change for that? So a huge step forward from there.
So in the world of retention, we've also got a ton of initiatives on the plate being worked on as we speak. Some of the highlights I wanted to talk about is really Joanna Vikas has been so critical in centralizing and creating a streamlined process for all the new launches that Jay and the client management team is going to be sending our way. So we're ready for it so that we can have a really nice streamlined process to make that as painless as possible for everyone involved. We also are intending to launch the behavioral analytics platform that our friends in enrollment have been utilizing and some of our teams in Orlando and Chicago have used in retention to help us look at the way we're engaging with students on the phone, really learn how to maximize the way we talk to students based on their preferences, and just help us be better at connecting with people. And then a huge project that we're really excited about, and Molly Joyce and her team and Kara Boardman and Rochelle Jarvis have done a ton of work around, is the Retention Manager Training Program. So that is launching this month and is going to go all the way through May. And it's a very robust competency-based training initiative that we're so pleased to be able to offer to all of the managers to help them grow and develop their skills and their kind of personal brand of who they are as a leader. So lots of stuff happening, but those are a quick few highlights.
All right, hey, this is like the Oscars we're going to go over.
I see that. It's
Is there music to play us out, or how does that?
Right?
How does that
So
go?
dramatic.
I need to know. So a couple of metrics, right? So kidding aside, you get 10 minutes to kind of talk about everything within enrollment retention, right? So it's a lot to try and cram in. We're coming out of our January start, so I wanted to share some super high-level KPIs with the group. We're due for our enrollment services town hall. That'll be coming up, and we'll deep dive into this a little bit more. But just for the edification of the room, we've got a metric called application to start. So that's of the number of people that apply, how many of them actually end up starting. And without exception, in every region, we saw a lift in that metric in the January start, right? Meaningful lift, right? So this isn't, hey, 1.5% improvement, right? So we are double-digit improvement in the app to start process, or app to start metric across the organization. Something that's important, I think, to mention. Everybody here knows that we undertook 6 months ago an effort to consolidate offices and move enrollment services out of Chicago and into Orlando, right? So a painful endeavor, right? Not something that we take lightly or something that was enjoyable to do, but necessary for the business. Even in the face of that, we managed to improve app to start with that group 13% out of the Chicago schools. So in the midst of transitioning from Chicago to Orlando, still able to improve a very key metric, and that's also a big metric that shows student engagement and our support of the students. So phenomenal job on the part of that team. I had a wise leader one time that shared with me a saying that is, a leader sets the tone. And Kobe Johnson has done a phenomenal job kind of bringing that home and closing that office up. Those are all people that have grown up and that we've grown up with, so the work he did was really phenomenal, so did a really nice job with that. Orlando, a lot of new and a lot of change, and we're still able to improve that metric, and the same for Louisville. So really proud of the work done on that through all the transition and change. Also, the Louisville office, we were in the middle of a upgrade to SRP during the recruitment for the winter term, so even amongst a lot of change, positive number. 6,000 students started with us in January. So, you know, we talk about the budget, we talk about the numbers, and those are certainly all things that we need to get in line, but we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that 6,000 people made a decision to improve their lives based on the work of the people in this room. So, phenomenal work there. Our contact center made 140,000 calls in January and transferred 10,000 people over to our recruitment team to talk to about programs. So I just want to give a sense of scale when you think about, well, you know, what are those teams doing and how much do they do? 140,000 calls is a lot of calls, and 10,000 students is a lot of people to get handed off to recruitment. So very high volume of work. Our growing Omni team managed over 2,000 chats over the month of January, so that's a lot of typing. I think my 14-year-old daughter would do great in that group, but you know, for a young and growing team, there's doing a lot. And also the fact that we've onboarded 43 new colleagues in roughly the last 4 to 5 months. So that is a very large number of folks to bring into the business and ramp up, get up to speed, and get productive. So a busy 3 or 4 months running up to today.
And so finally, oh, I think we already covered this. Can we jump?
That's right.
Yeah.
There we go.
And go ahead and put all my numbers up, please. Yes, please.
Boom.
Okay. So, because I'm out of time. So we have an incredible metric to share with all of you. The fall A term-to-term persistence rate was 91.4%. 90, right? Incredible work by this team, the teams in other locations and on the phone. Thank you so much. And that results in supporting almost 39,000 students. That is a hefty number towards that BHAG, so we're doing our part to contribute there. And then the metric that really matters is students getting all the way through the journey, right? Everything we're doing is to drive that metric. And so we had over 4,000 students graduate just in the past 2 terms. So congratulations on all of your hard work.
And we had a dance, but we're out of time.
Yep, we're done.
So.
No dance.
I'll meet you in the middle. So good morning, everybody. We appreciate you all joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jay Hatcher, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development. And I have the pleasure of going out and selling all the things that you all do, all the great, the impact that you all are making for students and for our partner universities. So I always say that me and my team have the easiest job at WES, so thank you very much. I'm joined by Tara Murphy. Obviously, she's in client management, and along with every one of you all, she has the pleasure of delivering upon all the promises that me and my team make when we're out in the field. So I appreciate her joining us. So as we talk about, you all have seen my emails, and so you all probably know how we are pacing. We have a goal of 11 new partnerships for the year. We have currently signed 6. And if Jack Gordon can help me out with John Kritzmacher, we will have signed our 7th partnership tomorrow that was led by Owen Burett. So currently, as we look here, as you all know, over the last quarter, we signed Greenville University to an OPM partnership. But again, we could not have done it without the great support of the advancement courses team that set a solid foundation, introduced us to that partnership, and led us through the process. So thanks to Krisha, Jordan, Sam Todderich, the entire AC team for teeing that one up. We also signed a partnership with Calvin University that you all saw my email last week. But if you all read the email, you probably see that I named probably 35 or 40 people that were responsible for helping drive that partnership forward. So again, this is not about me. It's not about my team. It's about our team together, how we collaborate, how we work together. So I really do appreciate all the support, through that partnership over the last 9 months. And then lastly, we also signed a half a partnership, but when we do our job and we land at UT Arlington, we get them to sign on for many new programs, then Todd's going to give me credit for signing 2.5 partnerships with that one contract as we move forward and they sign on for additional programs. So I appreciate that tee up. So what's next? As you all can see here, we do have some top prospects, in the pipeline. And again, you all hear me say this, we have to make sure we enter into the right partnerships, and when they're not right, we need to be willing to walk away. So the most recent was Marriott University up in Northern Virginia. They wanted, to double their online enrollment, but they wanted to give us a bunch of niche, less than stellar programs. They were not willing to provide us what we needed, so we decided to walk away from that partnership, even though they were begging us to do a deal. One of the questions I always get from you all is, what is our target market? So I just want to put this up here to make sure that we are crystal clear on what it is. And the bottom line is, regardless of what the demographic of an institution is, regardless of what their goals are, regardless of where they are located, we are in a position where we can meet their needs. So as always, we love good brands. We love working with top 100 schools. So traditionally, we can work with them from a revenue share basis. We can work for them on a fee-for-service or project basis. And for the most part, we're looking at programmatic partnerships because it's almost impossible to get them to sign on for an enterprise deal where you have to bring all those constituencies across a large state system to work together to decide this is something they want to do. Then there are regional public institutions and large private schools such as Fairleigh Dickinson, University of West Alabama, West Florida, etc. Again, revenue share, fee for service. And what's the beauty here is we have found that we can be successful both from a programmatic standpoint or from an enterprise standpoint. And then lastly, small to mid-sized private institutions like Greenville, revenue share, fee-for-service is an option, but to be frank, very rarely do these institutions have a pot of money sitting around where they can invest in a fee-for-service relationship. And then lastly, we have found that the best way to be successful with an institution like that is for them to give us the entire enterprise where we can help them take 8 to 10 to 20 programs online. And you all know me, I love to win, but I also love to celebrate. So one of the coolest things we get to do is after we enter into these partnerships, we always try to go to campus and have a formal launch meeting so we can build energy. We release a press release, and then we have a signing ceremony. So you can see President Ivan Philby and Todd here at Greenville University just 10 or 12 days ago signing the contract that we entered into back in November. So again, thanks for all that you all do. Without the great work you all are doing, without the great outcomes, there's no way that we could be successful. So keep crushing it.
All right, hi everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Tara Murphy, and I'm super excited today to get to represent our client management and university partnership team. Obviously, you saw in our mission statement, it's with our partners. So there's a lot of really important work going on with our awesome partnership director team. The way that we grow is through a variety of existing relationships. So once Jay's team signs a new partner, we work with them to identify additional opportunities, and those could look like renewals, new programs, fee-for-service projects, and even expanding out to add new services like M3 and Partner Plus. So these are new programs since the last time we met. There's 54 reflected here. That's across both our enterprise accounts as well as our programmatic schools through all of our hard work of our team. I do want to point out that one of the logos that's not up here, but there was a great amount of hustle from the Lindenwood team to get 36 new programs online for the January start. So kudos to the Lindenwood team for getting those. Okay, so we're really busy. There's a lot of logos up here reflected where we're having active conversations, and I bring this up similar to what Jay mentioned. We have to work with a lot of different people throughout the organization to develop these new program opportunities. So I want to take a moment to just say a huge appreciation to our market strategy and research team, our business analytics team, our analytics team, as well as Jack and the finance team. Without all of these people working really, really effortlessly and hard behind the scenes, we wouldn't be able to be presenting these opportunities to our schools. So in addition, we get to celebrate some new renewals. So you saw that we had a couple of schools that we were eager to get signed and extend our overall service to. The first one is has a special place in my heart, Utica College. It was the school I started off as a partnership director on 11 years ago. We signed 12 more years with Utica College to be able to expand. In addition to that, Queen's University in Charlotte, we added 5 more years and are having a lot of active program discussions there, including some different modalities in addition to our online delivery. And we were able to secure a 1-year renewal with Leslie while we discuss where the future of that partnership will head. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see there's a lot of active discussions afoot as well. And I'm quickly running out of time. I'll get there. Okay, so in addition to partners where we have these active conversations, these things can take years to sort of pursue and agree on renewals that make sense for everyone. We have RFPs that are going on at GSHED, at George Washington, Purdue, we're looking at a coterminous relationship. St. Mary's, we're evolving the way that we look at that OPM relationship, which I think will be very interesting for the future. We're also looking at adding some additional MSAs at Delaware, Point Park, and Widener. And last but not least, just to touch on some of our fee-for-service work. So a lot of our partners are looking for different ways to work with us, and we were able to secure a number of projects with George Mason, Babson, and Sacred Heart, thanks to the partnership directors there for all of their hard work. Additionally, we have some very active discussions at St. Mary's as well as Michigan State to expand out our footprint there. So a lot of awesome work, and I look forward to celebrating even more of these at our next company update. And that's time.
Hey everyone, Jordan Hathaway, Vice President of Customer Marketing. I'm actually having a little bit of flashbacks of my best friend's house growing up. They had a room that had these really fancy chairs that I got to walk past, but I could never ever sit in them. Just keep doing that. All right. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of key initiatives, especially as it relates to innovation. Right now, the marketing department is really focused on 2 major key themes. 1, better access to information for our students. Number 2 is optimizing the student experience once they get there. So we're going to focus in on 2 projects that are really helping us accomplish these goals. Okay, first up is Project Legend. It's like an epic name, right? Super epic name. So what is Project Legend? Project Legend is about controlling our own destiny, and it's also about letting students get the access to the information that they're looking for as they engage in their student journey process and try to make an informed decision about which program is right for them. So what happens today if a prospective student Google searches Autism Master's Program online? You can actually see for yourself right now exactly what happens, but I mean, don't do it right now because it's the company meeting and that would be weird. So do it later, and you'll see what happens is on page 1 of Google, the very first result is a paid media landing page. Great job to the paid media search team. That's for our university partnership. The third one down is our university's .edu website. This is the microsite that we own. It's the storefront as we represent on behalf of our partnerships all of the programs that are available at a specific university. But I want to call your attention to number 2 and number 4 on page 1 of Google. This is what our prospective students see every single day as they navigate their journey. We see sites that are called affiliate sites. I think the first result says, Top 20 online master's degree programs in autism. Sounds like a pretty captive audience that we would be very, very interested in, right? The thing about these sites, we don't own these sites. These are not our sites. Today, we're able to be on these sites through the great work of our affiliate team and our media team, where we can influence the narrative on there. We can be part of this ecosystem, but we're a little bit at the mercy of a couple of things. 1, the sites themselves, and 2, the budgets that we have internally to be able to pay to be on them. So what happens to our university partners that maybe don't have the budget to be on these? Worse, what happens when one of these websites decides to sell that property? What happens if they sell it to one of our competitors? So these are very big risks that we need to mitigate in order to stay competitive. Project Legend is all about going out and acquiring a handful of these very strategic sites so that we're not part of the story. We are the story. This will really let us control the narrative, control our own destiny, represent every single university partner that we have that makes sense to go on that particular website. And once we acquire it, who better to generate the content, to optimize the experience on there, to make it the hardest working website for lead generation than us? We are the masters of this craft, and this is a space that we know a whole lot about. So it's really exciting, team. All of these things will work in concert with one another. These are all things that we're doing to expand our overarching reach and make it really easy for students to connect with us. The second initiative that I want to talk to you guys about is the Student Journey Platform. You've heard a whole lot about the Student Journey Platform. It's a little bit of a misnomer because it's not a platform. It's actually a series of tools, processes, plans, features, functionalities that are all working together in concert to create a really robust student experience. So this is about creating different enhancements to our websites, the properties that we do own that take them to the next level. Think about interactive FAQs. Think about chatbots. Think about messaging services. Think about when somebody's on one of our properties, how we can engage with them and connect them back to the experts and enrollment services to help them navigate that process. Think about when they're not ready to connect in their early days and all they want to do is answer a bunch of questions that they might have. We too can answer those questions and help them do this in a self-service capacity. So what about when they're ready to apply? This is where it gets really exciting. And although I realize I'm the only one up here that did not get a partner or a friend to present with, if I did have one, it would be the technology team. The technology folks are right here helping us accomplish this, and it would also be on the other side, the enrollment services team, and in front of me would be the retention team, and it would just really represent how we're all working together to pull this off, because really this is about the entire organization coming together and figuring out how to transform the experience that our students get today. So I get the glory of being able to sit up here and talk about it, but really this is the culmination of the hard work of everyone. As we think about the application process today, I want you to picture companies like Carvana, Quicken Loans, TurboTax. These are things that are completely disrupting the way that consumers navigate high cost, high impact, big decisions in a totally, I'm not even going to say a totally digital way because there's still off-ramps to phone calls, but this is the experience that our students are starting to see, from ordering pizza to getting a mortgage to buying a diamond ring, all in the same day. And so the Student Journey Platform is going to help us get there. Think about things like something as simple as a resume. Today, when you want to submit a resume as part of the application process, you open up your Word document, you make the resume, you save it out to a PDF, you upload it to the application portal, somebody on the back end is downloading it, and so on goes the story. In the Student Journey process, with my friends from technology right here, think about a LinkedIn integration. With one click, you can enter your entire resume and be done with that portion. Think about transcripts ordering. We just talked about that. Imagine getting a push notification that says transcripts received, move on. These are the kinds of things that we're going to bring to life with the Student Journey Platform. Terry will help us fund it. I mean, find the people to work on it. I bet he gets to sit in the chair. So there's a lot more that I want to tell you guys all about with the Student Journey Platform, and of course everyone's talking all about it, but I'm a marketer at heart, and so I'm always trying to look for ways to increase my conversion rates on click-throughs. So I'm going to encourage you to go over to the WEXPO website video repository, find Student Journey, click on it, watch the videos, and as there are opportunities to get involved with whether it's the content delivery process or identifying a challenge, there's going to be ample opportunity for all of us to impact this and to take the great learns that we have right here in the business to help inform the next generation technology and marketing stack as a way to engage with our students. So really exciting work. Thanks in advance for everyone's partnership on this. Thanks for finance team for helping us get this funded, and looking forward to the year ahead. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jordan. That was awesome. You passed the test as the newest leadership team member. You get a partner next time. And you're right, Terry does get to sit in the chairs. Terry, come on up. All right, nice and comfortable. Here, our fireside chat. We got the fire going in the back. So we have 10 minutes here, and I wanted you all to meet Terry. I can't tell you how excited I am to have him here with us. We've been without an HR business partner for a while, and one that is hitting the ground sprinting, which is a pun, which I'll tell you about in a second. But in any case, I'm going to ask him a few questions and go from there. So Terry, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Yeah, I can use a teacher voice. I have a great one, I think, so I'm told. Anyway, a little bit about me. I'm the youngest of 10, of a family of 10. I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers. My father is African American and my mother is Dominican, so I'm what you would call Blatino. And growing up in our house of 1 bathroom, so you can understand how interesting that was. And my journey has always been around education and human resources and making a social impact, which you'll hear about later.
Great. So you had a lot of different opportunities to choose from in the next phase of your career. Why Wiley? What brought you here?
Interesting. What brought me here to Wiley is because of my passion around social justice. I view education as a social justice issue. I feel that education is the one mechanism that this country has to level the playing field for every citizen. And with that, and when you receive an education, no one can take that away from you. And so when looking at Wiley, I saw the connection between my passion and what we're doing, and as far as the student population in which we serve. So there was a clear and strong connection with what I believe in and what I do with what the organization does as well.
Great. So you've touched on it a little bit, but maybe expound on the most important function of your job, do you think?
I think the most important function of my job is looking at taking what we have in HR, our professional and our technical expertise, and aligning that with what the performance metrics of the business unit and the company is trying to achieve as a whole. So with that passion, I bring in with that, looking at where our organization stands, just like we learned today about our performance metrics. So how does the human resources or our people in the organization impact and help us to achieve those goals?
Great. So big issue for a lot of the folks in the room here in Louisville is around benefits, right? We had 2 different companies, Learning House, Wiley, WES is a division, and we're a year or so into the acquisition, and we don't all have the same benefits yet. What are you doing to help bring this all together?
Okay. All right. Talk about hitting the ground running. When I arrived here, they didn't tell me this in the interview. But what am I doing in regards to this? I feel like, first of all, we have to look at the business and legal impact of Brown benefits. I've been very transparent about this with you all. I've communicated this, is that we got to look at, for the company, first of all, the impact and the financial impact and the legal compliance associated with it. We have to remember that we're a global company and it's just not one entity that's impacted. So we've done that and we've done the work, and I said that we're going to communicate that at the end of the month. But then with that process, also the back office work that needs to be done, or the work that has to be done around that, is looking at the compliance, looking at what's the financial impact associated with that. And then also what we're doing is putting together a communication plan on how we're going to deliver this to you all. So there's a lot of work that's been involved in this, but turning this around, I understand that you've been dealing with it for a while, but this brother's only done for 5 weeks, okay?
So one of our core values, the last one, is grow and growth. And it's very important to people at WES to grow and to grow in their careers, their compensation, and everything that goes with that. A lot of people take advantage of the education benefit of going back to online university at one of our partners. What are the steps that you think people can take to encourage more of this growth?
I think the steps that you normally take, I use my own self as outlining this process. Number one is that you need to know what the CEO and the executive leadership team is looking for in the company. Take that information and then you strategize of where do you want to grow and understanding the business strategy behind the company, and where do and then talking to individuals who are in leadership positions and talking to them about what are the opportunities and how do these performance metrics impact the people that work in your particular organization. So building those relationships, going outside of your comfort zone or where you're at currently, because it's a big company, and knowing and understanding first what's the business strategy, and not just WES, but the overall organization as a whole.
Great. Transparency is very important to this business, has been for a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about your communication strategy and philosophy and some of the steps that you've been taking in the last month and going forward to sort of make that communication strategy come to life?
Great. One is particularly participating in meetings such as this to communicate to you formally where we're going as a human resources organization and also as a company, and how that impacts your role in the business. Also being transparent, like I'm learning teams and communicating well with you all through that. And additionally, our practice as far as the WES HR organization is that you'll see us more visibly on not just the people that sit in your particular office, but people such as myself that sit in Hoboken will spend time in the offices on a once a month basis or every other month to come in and hold meetings that I've held with a lot of you. I've asked you specifically about your role and how do you think your role impacts where we're trying to go. I got some interesting responses. And I'm going to take those and utilize those, and I want to measure those against the next time I come back out. And so, but I'm always transparent with you and letting you know where we're trying to go.
Great. So last question, what do you like to do for fun outside of work?
Oh boy, here we go. Outside of work for fun, I am an avid weekend athlete. I'm a former track and field guy, football guy, and also a boxing guy. For those of you that don't know, I have a pretty famous uncle. There was a movie made about him. His name was Hurricane Carter. Denzel Washington played his role. And I have a whole lot of athletes in my family. So I remember growing, I'm sorry, just take a little bit.
That's
here.
okay, we got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. When I was born premature, and one of my lungs was very small, wasn't well developed. And I remember the pediatrician told my mom and my dad, saying, of course, my dad is a former military kind of guy too. And so he said to my dad, he said, he needs to develop, make him run. Make him do push-ups, make him do, and he said, oh, that's all I gotta do? He said, oh, he's gonna grow for sure. So every morning, and I still to this day, I wake up at 4 a.m. and exercise or do some kind of HIIT training or whatever, because my dad used to have all 10 of us up at 4 a.m. and run the block, and in addition doing calisthenics. So I still do that for fun. I like to, I know I'm a masochist, and I like to, enjoy movies. I'm just a movie freak, and I love food. That's why I need to work out.
Well, you can see why I'm so excited to have Terry here. Thank you so much. Welcome to the team. All right, so that brings us to the end of our company update. Hopefully you got a lot out of today. First and foremost, we now have a complete business strategy. So I really encourage you all to not just read the document once, read it again. Hopefully it really connects with you all. If it doesn't, please talk to your leaders and ask questions. That's really important. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to do is just thank all of my co-presenters on the stage. I'm so thrilled with how this team is coming together, my leadership team, the teams below them. If you notice, not once today, we might have said a learning house or a legacy WES, but we didn't really talk about the integration. There are still definitely some things happening around the integration, but as Blaine said, which I really liked, one team, one dream. I believe that. I think we're there now and onwards. And with that, we're on to our next big acquisition with M3, and it's just full steam ahead. So couldn't be more excited with that. More updates on that front. We're going to be operating that business somewhat separately so they can run and move fast and adapt to all the different market needs that are out there. So on that front, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you for delivering what has been a great year so far, as Jack alluded to. We definitely, it's not always about just smiles and telling you everything is great. We definitely have some headwinds on the enrollment front, and that's going to trickle down into the future quarters around performance. But as you can see with this strategy, and what we have here is, even though you want to always be thinking about that, we now have to trust this process. As I think Nick Saban and the University of Alabama talk about, we've got a process. I trust this team. I trust the process. We need to execute, and I think you're going to see great results into the future. So thank you guys. Have an amazing weekend, and happy Valentine's Day. Take care.